Alright, now that we discussed how we can change the chart design, now we are going to start formatting the elements of this chart. And what I mean by elements is the chart title, the X and Y axis, the legend, data labels, the data bars, the background color, and so on. So to start formatting these elements, what we have to do first is select our chart, and then we can come up to the Format tab in our ribbon. And you should be pretty familiar with this Format tab because it has a lot of the same groups when we were formatting shapes. Alright, the first thing we are going to do is change our chart title. Because when users see our chart, they need to know what the chart actually means, or what the chart is trying to tell us. So to change the title, all we have to do is click on the title, and we can change the text. So I'm going to title this Monthly Expenses. Alright, now that we got our title in there, I'm going to make our title bold so it really sticks out to the user. So once again, I'm going to select the title, come up to the Home tab, and select the bold command. Now that title really pops. And I'm going to make the text in our legend bold as well, just so that our expenses stand out a little bit more. So all I have to do is select our legend and select the bold command once again. Alright, well I think that looks good. And I think there's too much white going on inside of our chart, so maybe we can add a background color. So I'm going to go back up to the Format tab, and to change the background color, I can click this drop down underneath Shape Styles. Oh, right now my legend's still selected, so that's why it's only applying the color to our legend. So if we just select the chart, and then come back up, now it's changing the fill color of the chart. But I don't want to change the whole background color of the chart. I just want to change the background color of where the data bars are. So I'm going to select the background where the data bars are, and then come back up to our shape fill, and then maybe apply a little gray tone to it. That's looking good. But we can also change the color of one of our data bars. For example, this gray bar kind of clashes with the gray background that we just placed. So all we have to do is select on one of the gray bars, and you can see that it will select each series. And then we can go back up to shape fill, and then maybe choose a green color, so it really stands out a lot more. And next what we can do is add data labels to our data bars. Because right now it's hard to see what the exact values are of these data bars. For example, let's take wages in January, this orange bar. We know it's somewhere between 400 and 600. If we hover our mouse over it, it will tell us that the value is 500. But let's say we want that value displayed in our chart. So what we can do is come over to this plus sign and give it a click. And then we can check the box that says data labels. So now we actually have the values above each data bar. And if we click this side arrow, we can change the location of these data labels to maybe the inside in, inside base, outside in. Whatever you think looks good within your chart. I think the outside in looks pretty clean, so I'm going to select that. And then I'm going to increase our chart size a little bit, just so we get a little bit more space between our data bars and data labels. Okay, well I think that looks good. But now that we actually have the actual values above our data bars, there's really no need to have this y-axis for the cost of the expenses. So to remove this axis, we can do it one or two ways. We can either select the axis and click delete on our keyboard, or we can go back up to this plus sign and uncheck the bar that says axis. And that will get rid of it as well. And it's totally based on your preference if you want to have an axis there or not. And then lastly, let's say I want to take our legend and move it up to the top, so it's a little bit easier to read from top to bottom. I can go over here to our legend, select our arrow, and then I can select where I want to place the legend, either the bottom, left, top, or right. In this case, I'm going to select the top, and I think that looks good. And I just realized that when I unchecked the box of axis, I got rid of our x-axis as well. I want to keep the months on the x-axis so we can tell what each set of data bars mean. So I'm going to go back up to axis, check it, and if I expand our options, I can select the axis that we want to keep or remove. I'm going to get rid of the vertical axis, so it keeps our horizontal axis intact. So we can tell that this set of data bars is January, this set of data bars is February, and so on. So that's pretty much the basics of formatting a chart. When it comes to formatting charts, you can go a long way with it. So when you find time to mess around with charts, I strongly suggest doing so, because you can really get into formatting the data labels or expanding the width of the data bars and so on. And you can format each element of the chart by selecting which element you want to format. For example, let's say I want to format the x-axis. I can select it and give it a right click and click Format Axis. But you can do that with any element. For example, if I want to edit the data bars, give the data bars a click and then give it a right click and select Format Data Series or Format Data Labels. So you have a bunch of different options that you can do when it comes to formatting charts. But for now, I think this formatting suits our chart. And in the next video, we'll talk about how we can modify the data within the chart and change the type and location of the chart.